Labour's plans to expand jails are to ease the prison crisis under threat from Rachel Reeves' cuts. I'm going to read into this exclusive from the iPaper, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from the iPaper with the headline: Labour's plans to expand the jails to ease the prison crisis is under threat from Reeves' cuts. Prison capacity is already at 99% following the early release of more than 3,000 inmates last year. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. We know that the criminal justice system is under strain. We know that the prison system is under strain. We knew this before even Labour came to power, that it was left under strain by the Conservatives. There's no question that the Conservatives left us in a right state when it comes to our criminal justice system, the prison system, the police system, the crime system. Pretty much all that are intertwined when it comes to this have been damaged significantly by the Conservatives and their austerity and their cutting that they're doing. Now, I will say to do take this article with a pinch of salt, because the iPaper did try to claim that in the upcoming spring statement that there would be significant cuts to the education, and nothing was said of education on that. That being said, just because we're reading this here about potential cuts in the criminal justice system doesn't mean that they're not going to happen. They could still happen, and I think that's an important context to add here. Like I've said with the NHS and with other governmental, other government departments, you have to give Labour a chance to see what they could do, and it takes a lot longer to build than it does to break things apart. And like I said, Labour have been left with shambolic systems, all sorts of systems here, and Shabana is dealing with an unprecedented crisis here, and it looks like prison capacity is back up to 99, is gone to 99%, despite the fact that the changes that they've made. So it still leaves the prison system on edge here, but they need, obviously, if they're not going to be able to build the prisons that they need, with funding from the government, then they need to fundamentally change the laws when it comes to people going to prison based on what things, like, for example, like the people who are going to prison for example for protesting, like, that's a nonsense one. That's a waste of a capacity there. Some of the more lenient crimes, very light crimes, perhaps they should be under intense community service. Some of the real lighter crimes that perhaps as well. There needs to be more easing on some laws on some crimes, and there needs to be harsher ones on others. I don't think the system is perfectly balanced anyway, but they need to do something to give a bit more leeway when it comes to this, because being back at 99%, the question I suppose you're asking, which is I am, is how has this happened again? So here's what it says. So cuts to government spending could leave Labour's plans to boost prison capacity and tackle high street crime in doubt, insiders fear. The Ministry of Justice, one of the unprotected spending departments, asked to model cuts of up to 11.2% by the Chancellor Rachel Reeves. But there are concerns that the department, already hollowed out through previous round of real-term spending cuts, has no more fat to trim. It comes as the Lord Chancellor, Shabana Mahmood, has pledged to create 14,000 new prison places, as well as reviewing sentence and review probation under plans to ease the prison capacity crisis. Now, bear in mind, read carefully what it says here. It says 14,000 new prison places. It didn't say prisons. The specific word in here is prison places. The government is under intense pressure to get a grip on the prison population in order to avoid another early release of convicts, which was triggered by Mahmood when the UK came close to running out of cell spaces last summer. Prison capacity is already back at 99%, and she has not ruled out having to trigger more emergency powers to ensure spaces do not run out. A total of 87,684 people were in prison in England and Wales as of last Monday, the highest figure since the 88,521 recorded in the 6th of September last year, days before the first of more than 3,000 early releases. Insiders have questioned how it would be possible to open and staff at these prison places alongside the promised reform of probation, reduction of courts backlogs, and a crackdown on high street crime if cuts are carried out in the upcoming spending review. Now, bear in mind, like I said, it says upcoming spending review. So unless there's a spending review again between now and the next budget, which is not until autumn, I'm not sure about that. The FDA, which represents members working in prisons, probation service, and elsewhere in justice, have told the iPaper that cuts would have significant ramifications and undermine the government's vow to raise confidence in the justice system. The national officer, Robert Eagleton, said that the headline saving announced by the Chancellor looks set to have significant ramifications for the Ministry of Justice. The justice system faces major challenges. Prisons are busting at the seams. There's a backlog of over 70,000 court cases, and shoplifting is at record levels, and the government is making tackling all these three a priority, he said. When you want to get tough on crime and crack down on people, and obviously you want to throw them behind bars, it's a bit hard to do that when you don't have the capacity to do so. So you can't take funding away from the justice system, the prison system, and expect them to also be able to take in more criminals if you want to crack down. And it's a bit logic there. So how can this be achieved while reducing the resources available? Does anyone guess? He added, there simply isn't a tranche of easy efficiencies to be made. Any cuts will likely make it harder for the government to realise that this mission of raising confidence is of confidence in the criminal justice system. Law Society President Richard Angerson said that any further cuts would threaten the access to justice in which every one of us is entitled to. The upcoming spending review needs to provide more funding and resources to fix the justice system and boost this vital public service, he said. The latest criminal court backlog figures and the increasing pressure on prisons demonstrate the urgent need for sustained investment, including in the courts, legal aid and the prison estate. Anginson said there was a supply and demand problem due to high volumes of cases and not enough capacity across the board. Courts, judges, lawyers, probation and prison spaces. The exodus of experienced solicitors and a dearth of young solicitors undertaking publicly funded work can only be reversed by a robust commitment to increase year-on-year funding, he added. Further cuts will fundamentally threaten the access to justice which every one of us is entitled to. Mama said last week that she was making the strongest case as a Chancellor to avoid the big cuts in her department. She alluded to historic underinvestment in the prison sector during a visit to Open HMP Milkston in North Yorkshire, saying her government had inherited a broken system with not enough capacity. She said live discussions are happening between her and the Chancellor. Pressed on the future of the probation service, given the Ministry of Justice is not a protected spending department, the Minister said it was absolutely crucial to law and order. We have already started shifting the way that we use our probation resources in a more targeted way, and we're bringing more resources on with the extra staff. That's a statement of how important I think the probation service is, not just to the current system, but also any future changes that we make as well, she said. The proportion system will be absolutely crucial to the safe rollout of any future changes that are made. But I've covered the story a while ago that they're not going to be, there's not going to be more. I think there was a story a while ago about probation services not going to be getting more investment. But maybe I'm wrong in that. I mean, I know obviously they threw a lot of money in a lot of departments at the budget, but it's quite frustrating because the Chancellor's talking about like holding the purse strings here. But if you're serious about getting tough on crime, if you're serious about people making sure they do the time, then you need to loosen the purse strings a little bit when it comes to justice. If you're very serious about that, you need to. It's quite frustrating as well, especially when we have more increasing at the last spring statement. We had an increase in defence going on as well. When there's so many other things that are taking place, it really is frustrating to say the least here. Because it's demoralizing for people when they know that they're somebody who is responsible for something that they've done or caused or harm, and that they find themselves back out on the streets for a much shorter sentence for what they've done, and they become a problem. Yeah, she needs more funding, as does a lot of things, I'm afraid, guys. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of the case around the justice system, around the prison system, specifically in England? Is the Chancellor going to do anything to help? Are there more cuts coming to the Justice Department? Let me know your thoughts and more on this story down in the comment section below. Now, if you found this video informative or helpful to you, please hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that join button to join the YouTube membership team for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.